Hello, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about data rate limits. So let's look at the agenda of discussion. We will be starting with data rate factors, then channel capacity, after that Shannon-Hartley law. Now let us look at data rate factors. Now what is data rate? Data rate means the speed with which the data is moving through the transmission medium. This transmission medium is also called a channel. Now it is measured in bits per second. We also call it BPS. Now there are various factors upon which data rate is dependent upon. Let us learn them one by one. But before that, let me tell you that data rate also means the rate at which the audio or video files are compressed. So let us look at the different data rate factors. Number one is the number of levels. Now what do we mean by number of levels? A signal can be represented by M-Array value. This M stands for the number of levels, and let us understand with the help of an example. Let's say we are considering a binary signal where M is equal to 2 for binary signal. Now for binary, we have only two values, zeros and 1. So let us understand this with the help of this example. Let's say that the data is 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. So it is represented by only two levels, 0th level and 1th level. So it is called a binary signal. We can have a 3-array signal in which there are 3 levels, 0, 1 and 2. Let's say we have the data like this. So we can have a data like this where this is the 1th level, this is the 2th level, this is the 2th level, this is again the 1th level, 0th level and 2th level. So this way the data can be divided into 3 levels. So in short, we can have M-Array levels where M is the number of levels by which the signal can be specified. Next is the bandwidth. Bandwidth is a very important factor. Bandwidth means the difference between the high frequency component and the low frequency component. Now there are two types of bandwidth. One is called the system bandwidth and the other one is called the signal bandwidth. System bandwidth is a bandwidth which means that the channel or the transmission media can support the high and the low frequency components. So FH minus FL will give the system bandwidth. This means this is the signal frequencies that the channel will support. On the other hand, signal bandwidth means we have a signal, suppose FT. This signal can have many frequency components, F1, F2 till Fn. So we have to find out what is the highest frequency component and what is the lowest frequency component. In this case, if it is F2 is the highest and F1 is the lowest, then this will be the signal bandwidth. After that comes noise. Now noise is unwanted signal. If a signal gets mixed up with noise, then the signal will be distorted. When we talk about digital signal, suppose 1011 is the signal that is transmitted at the input end, and if this signal is hit by noise, then it is possible that the signal gets distorted and ones may be converted to zeros and zeros may be converted to ones. It can so happen that we are receiving 1, 1, 1, 1. So we can see that there is error in this position of the bit. So this is the receiver side or the output. So we must be very careful while designing our system, and we must understand that the signal is weakest at the channel. So proper measure should be taken so that the noise, even if it gets incorporated into the signal can be taken out at the output in a clean manner. For that case, we can use regenerative repeater. Regenerative repeater is a device which generates new clean pulses out of the already distorted signal. So these are the different data rate factors which must be taken into consideration in order to understand what should be the data rate. Let us now understand channel capacity. Let's understand this with the help of an example. For example, we have a room which has a capacity of, say, 90 people. So 90 people can be accommodated in the room. In a similar way, we can have a bucket which can fill 10 liters of water. So this is the capacity of the bucket. In a similar way, a channel can have a capacity. This means how many bits can be transmitted through the channel per second. It is given in bits per second. So this is the channel capacity. So now let us understand the mathematical derivation of channel capacity. Let us consider a discrete memoryless source. Now what is the meaning of discrete memoryless source? We call it DMS. Discrete memoryless source is a source which generates discrete symbols. We also call them alphabets. Okay. Let X be a discrete memoryless source and X has alphabets X1, X2 up to Xm. So there are m number of alphabets or symbols in the source X. The information content Xi, where Xi is any symbol of X, is given as Ixi is equal to log base B 1 by Pxi, or in other words, it is minus of log base B P of Xi, where P of Xi is the probability of occurrence of the symbol Xi. Now, this value B, which we call the base B, is a generalized term. This B can be value 2 when we deal with binary data. This B can be value 10 when we deal with decimal data and so on. Now here we will be considering binary data. So always this value of B will be 2. Now this P is equal to 1 by N, where N is the number of levels. In other words, we can write I is equal to log base 2 N is equal to log base 2 1 by P. So we give this Ixi as equation 1. We give this I is equal to log base 2 1 by P as equation 2. The channel capacity C is given as C is equal to B log base 2 1 plus S by N. Here B is the bandwidth of the system. In this case, it's the system bandwidth or the channel bandwidth, and S by N is known as the signal to noise ratio. So from here we can see that C is directly proportional to the bandwidth. The more the bandwidth of the system, the more the channel capacity is, and the more the value of S by N is, the more the value of channel capacity C. Now this is valid for AWGN. AWGN means additive white Gaussian noise. Okay, now what is additive white Gaussian noise? Additive white Gaussian noise takes the form of this Gaussian function, and this is given by the probability density function. We call it PDF. Let's write it as f of x. And here along x-axis we are drawing x, where x is the noise level and fx is the probability density function. Now what is the meaning of probability density function? Probability density function gives us the uncertainty of the signal in a close bound mathematical form. From here we can see that as the value of x decreases, the probability of error is more. So as the value of x increases, the probability decreases. So in other words, it also gives us the nature of probability of error in the given signal. Let us understand this with the help of this diagram. We are transmitting the signal input xt. Now when it goes to the channel, so this is the channel. I said the signal is weakest at the channel. So it is hit by noise here. This noise here is zt and we get yt. So in the presence of noise, yt will not be equal to xt, but rather yt will be equal to xt plus zt. That is why it is called additive white Gaussian noise. Now this additive white Gaussian noise probability density function is given as fx equal to 1 by sigma root over 2 pi exponential minus of x minus mu whole square by 2 sigma square. Already we know that the nature of Gaussian PDF is like this. So here we are plotting x, here we are plotting fx, and here mu is the mean or expectation. Sigma is the standard deviation and sigma square is the variance. Let us now understand Shannon-Hartley law. Shannon in 1948 devised this famous Hartley-Shannon law, and this is given as C is equal to B log base 2 1 plus S by N. The C is the channel capacity, B is the bandwidth of the system, and S by N is the signal to noise ratio. Now let us see how to derive this equation. But before that, let us understand the equiprobable situation, like the probability of occurrence of the symbols that are generated from the discrete memoryless source. In order to transmit two equiprobable messages, we require 1 bit of information. How 1 bit? It is given as log base 2 to the power 1 is equal to 1. In order to transmit 4 equiprobable messages, we require log base 2 4. That means log base 2 to the power 2 is equal to 2 bits. In order to transmit 8 equiprobable messages, we require log base 2 8. That means log base 2 to the power 3 is equal to 3. So in general, in order to transmit n equiprobable messages, we require log base 2 n number of bits. Now this n is equal to 1 by p as we have seen. So in general, if the messages are not equiprobable, then in general we require log base 2 n number of bits to send n number of messages. Now let us make one assumption here. We have to find out what is the number of distinguishable levels that can be identified at the receiving end. We are making this assumption that if this is the noise level, signal variation, if it happens below the noise level, will not be able to be distinguished at the receiving end. So this is the assumption. If this is the signal, if the signal level goes below the noise level, then it may not be easily recoverable or distinguishable at the receiving end. What will be then the number of levels that can be identified at the receiving end? For that, let us understand the number of distinguishable levels that can be distinguished at the receiving end. For that purpose, let us first initially see what is the noise power and what is the signal power. Let us consider S to be the signal power and N to be the noise power. Now S is given as Vs square by R, where Vs is the RMS value of the signal and R is the load resistance. If we consider R to be equal to 1, then S will be equal to Vs square, or Vs is equal to root over S. Similarly, this noise power N can be written as Vn square by R, where Vn is the RMS value of noise and R is the load resistance. Here again we consider R to be equal to 1, then N will be equal to Vn square, or Vn will be equal to root over N. Now, since we are having additive Gaussian noise, then let's say we are transmitting the signal root over S. It gets added at the channel, and at the receiving end we are receiving S root over S plus N. Now, what is the number of distinguishable levels then? So, number of distinguishable levels will be given as M equal to root over S plus 1, root over S plus N, because this is the thing that is the receiver is receiving, by root over N, which is the noise voltage. So basically this is the signal plus noise voltage and this is the noise voltage. So we get it as root over 1 plus S by N. We give it equation 4. Now the information content per pulse is given as I is equal to log base 2 M. And you put the value of M here. So it is log base 2 root over 1 plus S by N. So it is given as half log base 2 1 plus S by N. We keep it as equation 5. Now this is for a single pulse. If we transmit K pulses, then the channel capacity will be given as C is equal to K by 2 log base 2 1 plus S by N. We are simply multiplying equation 5 with K. This is given as equation 6. Now, we must understand that if the bandwidth of a signal is B, if B is the bandwidth of the signal, then it can transmit 2B pulses per second. Now here in equation 6 we can see that it is transmitting K by 2 number of pulses. So in place of K by 2 we can write B, because if B is the bandwidth of the system, then in general it can transmit K by 2 pulses. So this is the famous Hartley-Shannon law. Let us give it equation 7, and this is the famous Hartley-Shannon law. Here we can see that C is limited by B and S by N. If B increases, C also increases, and if S by N increases, C increases. Here I want to mention one thing. For a noiseless channel, n is equal to 0. So S by n is equal to infinity, C is equal to infinity. For practical situations, C is equal to finite, and because n is equal to finite. This is the famous Hartley-Shannon law, equation 7. Let us understand Hartley-Shannon law with the help of a problem. The problem states that a TV picture consists of 3 into 10 to the power 5 small picture elements. Each of these elements can assume 10 distinguishable levels of brightness which are equiprobable. There are 30 picture frames transmitted per second. Signal to noise ratio is given as 1000. For satisfactory reproduction of the picture, you need to find out the bandwidth of the video signal in the TV. Let us see how to solve this equation. Information per picture element is given as log base 2 number of levels. Here number of levels is 10. So it is log base 2 10. It is given as 3.32 bits per picture element. Now here there are 3 into 10 to the power 5 small picture elements. So information per frame will be given as 3.32 multiplied by 3 into 10 to the power 5. This will be bits per frame. Now how many frames are there? There are 30 frames. So channel capacity will be given as 3.32 multiplied by 3 into 10 to the power 5 into 30 bits per second. It is roughly given as 29.6 into 10 to the power 6 bits per second. Now you have to find out the bandwidth of the video signal in the TV. Let us write down the famous Hartley-Shannon law. C is equal to B log base 2 1 plus S by n. And if you put the values of C and S by n, you can find out the value of B here. So B will be given as C by log base 2 1 plus S by n. So it is basically 29.6 into 10 to the power 6 by log base 2 1 plus 1000, because S by n ratio is given as 1000. So if you calculate it, it will come out to be 3 megahertz. So we can find out that the bandwidth of the video signal in the TV is 3 megahertz. Here we come to the end of this video. In this video, we have learned about the meaning of data rate, the various data rate factors like bandwidth, noise, and number of levels of the signal. We have touched upon channel capacity. Lastly, we understood Shannon-Hartley law. And we understood it with the help of a solved problem. Thank you.